The Worst MMO Ever? Question mark. The Lord of the Rings Online by Josh Strife Hayes. Now, I have watched this in the past. I don't remember the conclusions he actually comes to in this. As somebody who has started up Lord of the Rings Online again and have a consistent progression series going on the second channel, the Kiz and the Kip Gaming channel, I wanted to go and see what his thoughts were and kind of understand his thought process in approaching this, because there's a lot to love, but there's also a lot that kind of, I think, goes against the game. I've played not quite since year one. I think I have the 15-year frame at this point, so I played on and off for about 15 years. Not the best player, right? I haven't run any of the raids and stuff. I did unsynced Rift recently, but I do have a little bit of experience with this and want to see what conclusions he comes to.
Why didn't they just fly the eagles to Mordor? Right, now there are thousands of people writing angry comments. Let's play Lord of the Rings Online. Join me as I adventure through the lands of Middle-earth, hunting bandits around Bree, waging war on the wargs of the wood, and then showing Elrond my balloon. Truly the stuff of legends. Also, you can play as an orc, which sounds fun, but is actually rubbish. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strife Hayes, and this is Worst MMO Ever, a show where I play every MMO I can find in a journey to find the worst. Drop a like on the vid or sub to the channel for more MMO stuff. Ring the bell for all the future notifications. And as usual, a massive thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep the channel alive. More on how you can support at the end. For now, let's begin.
I think that was a really good intro. I think for 45 seconds, it had everything you wanted. But what else could you want to add to that? I also like that his... I don't know if he's changed it since then. I haven't watched him in a hot minute. I think the last time I watched him was him talking with Dark Viper AU about React content. And then I just kind of watched other people. But I like that he kept making the smart faller to fit people on one screen. I loved it.
Lord of the Rings, one of the greatest adventure epics ever written. It's up there with the timeless classics like Treasure Island, Around the World in 80 Days, or Morning's End Part 2. And after the record-breaking success of the films, it seemed only right it would eventually get an MMORPG release set in Middle-earth. Now, Lord of the Rings Online has been out for quite a while, releasing back in 2007, and while it's never quite managed to break into the top MMOs, it's remained consistently popular with a hardcore player base all this time. And now it's...
Oh, 100%. If I understand it correctly, I think Lord of the Rings Online had cosmetic options like transmog before World of Warcraft had transmog, if I remember correctly. It's been wild to interact with players who've played this game far more than I have, who continue to run like high-end content, and I've enjoyed raiding. Like I've enjoyed like in Rift, there's a boss. It's when the Everseer retreats on the bridge in Rift, and like you have to gank the 4 ads, because if you don't gank the 4 ads, the boss has like, what is it, 95% damage mitigation and like 200% reflect. So my hunter shoots him and I just one-shot myself. It's really funny. But like I enjoy it. I like the modularity. I like the buffs, even going into something like Sarner in the Misty Mountains, right? Where it's kind of like a higher area. You go back there eventually. I don't quite know why or how story progression wise. But it's one of those things you go to and there's like the second area is like everything has like enhanced mitigations to everything but I think ancient dwarf damage. Like I love how they build encounters. I love how going through Rift it even went above level cap at the time, because you'll go through encounters and suddenly a boss is level 51 despite level 50 being a thing. You'll notice Brood Hatchling where it says normal, you'll have different tiers of enemies. Swarms are generally weaker, normal enemies, signature are a little bit stronger, elites are stronger than signature, elite masters are stronger than elites. Then you have nemesis, arch nemesis, right? There's a lot that goes into this game that I really love. Like, mechanically, I actually like a lot of what it brings to the table.
It's on Steam, and actually giving away a surprising amount of content for free. So let's give it a go. It does, however, seem so focused on giving away content, it forgot to give away the desktop icon when you download it from Steam, so we launch this bit of paper with a folded-over corner, and then get started. The first thing you see is a full-screen advert for the cash shop. Not the strongest of starts.
There is a big criticism the game gets, and I will levy against the game as well. One of the intro quests is at least going through Thorin's Hall again, because I usually start Dwarf, going through Arid Loon start, and I'm sure it's in the other areas as well. One of the actual quests to progress is to actually open the cash shop. very much something that goes against the game.
Character creation. 7 races to choose from. Some classes are only available to certain races, but in a really nice touch, each race has an optional intro movie you can watch which describes their history and a bit about them.
Men and women of Beorn's line possess the power to take the shape of mighty and fearsome bears. As their wrath increases, so too do the strength and capabilities of their animal forms.
Calling the mountains and hills home. The dwarves are a sturdy folk. Dour-handed warriors, but also crafters of great skill. The age of man is fast approaching. The chosen of a higher power, men dominate the lands of Middle-earth.
Now, regular view.
So before we continue, someone who plays Lord of the Rings Online more than I do, when did they change Tom Bombadil's voice? Tom Bombadil's voice, as it is now in-game, is not what it was in Shadows of Angmar. When did they change his voice? I need to know because it's bothering me.
Viewers will know that I'm a crazy, out-there, adventurous guy, and I really like to push the boat out with fantasy races whenever I play crazy MMORPG games, so I'll play a human male. For class, again, you've got movies for each one.
The captain is a masterful leader, a commanding presence who strengthens her allies, but she is also skilled in the use of arms. Her battle cries strike fear into the hearts of her enemies, while her allies rally to her banners of war.
Captain's got some tech. It's got some utility. I believe it's a yellow line captain, tank captain. I still need to get used to the 150 rotation on that because I just Valar boosted up. I currently am going through as a Dwarf Guardian in my progression. I very much like how Guardian plays. It's very bursty, but it is very reliant, at least in the early levels, on getting your parry and blocks. It's very reliant on that for your DPS windows. I enjoy it, though. I very much enjoy tanking, and it's wild coming from 14 to this, because, like, 14, yes, has tanking, but you, like, turn on a funny button called Tank Stance, and you just kind of keep it there. In this, you actually have to generate and maintain aggro, which I'm very happy about. It's been very fun learning how to tank.
You, my random zany character, I'll make this playthrough even more interesting, and I'll go for Man with Sword. Right, now to pick a name and we'll be off. You cannot have that name, as it appears to be gibberish. Wow, thanks, Lord of the Rings Online. I'd like to point out that Celeborn in High Elvish is teleporno, but yeah.
Actually, is Celeborn? What is it? Is it... Oh, I'm trying to remember. Is it... What language is it? It's Quenya? It's like how it's not Celandim, it's Kalandim, right? We're splitting hairs here, don't get me wrong. This is in fact me being a kip. Stop talking about Lord of the Rings.
Josh Strife Hayes is dumb. Finally find a name it accepts, and oh hey look, there's an option to manage player-made plugins. I like that.
I didn't even notice this.
But I'm a big fan of accessibility and customization, and to see they officially endorse and support you playing how you want to play, that's nice.
I need to check what plugins actually are there. I've been playing this entire time without plugins. I didn't even know this was a thing.
Game, and we are in a bandit camp. We've been captured, but don't worry, the Ranger Strider is there to help us break out. WASD to move, space to jump, and oh god, the movement feels floaty.
Yeah.
There's like a slight acceleration and then slow down, stop with every movement, like you're pushing a heavy cart through a big marshmallow. A and D also turn instead of strafe, which just won't do and should be illegal. So how easy is it to rebind keys? Oh, it's extremely easy. Awesome, good job. Strider fights some bandits and we get tutorial boxes explaining everything and then told to pick up the guard's equipment. Right-click to interact, I opens the inventory, C as the character sheet, right-click to equip. It's standard stuff so far, but it's explaining it step by step with a narrative-driven context reason to actually encourage the choice. This is nice.
I do agree. There are certain things that feel like it does break the immersion a little bit and does go definitely like game dev telling player to do thing, but most of it is very focused on a narrative experience, right? And I do thoroughly enjoy that. Even going into, because I had never done, they're not up at this time, like they're later episodes. As of recording this, they're currently in the queue for weeks down the line. I had never done the Fornost instances. Even when you do like content, right, instances and stuff, like the mechanics and stuff, just they blend really well. So like Wraith of Water, where you're fighting him and then he, busts down a wall and you have to, platform over, right? Yeah. Like how he's talking about movement, it's kind of weird to get to chase down the Wraith of Water with that. I'm not used to the movement tech quite myself. But it very much, well, it does feel, or like Wraith of Shadow, where you have to like activate the braziers. You have to activate the 3 of them so his invulnerability goes down so you can actually damage him, right? Like how it feels like mechanics, but like there's also like, I don't know, it blends together very well, is what I'm trying to say. I feel that this very much is a game from a different time, and when Amazon announced their whole Lord of the Rings MMO product, yeah, I had to scratch my head and go, but like Lord of the Rings Online literally exists.
Fight Strider for some combat practice, and right, there's no getting around it. This is clunky. It's janky. We'll see how it is as we play more. Run through this portal to the outside, and now more reading. There's a lot of reading in Lord of the Rings Online.
Yes,
it very much follows the classic RPG school design of paragraphs of description and in-depth history of absolutely bloody everything. Kind of like Lord of the Rings the book. Kill some enemies with auto-attack, have experience explained, and then get told to find Celadine, another captured prisoner.
But why not use skill? Why have to use auto? Why when skill exists?
Now, the combat may be clunky, but the fights are short, and the few skills I do have feel important because you only have a few of them, and I can see the substantial increase in damage on use, or reduction in damage on defensive stance use. And the music is just absolutely top quality.
The music is actually really good in this game. Like that is on point. I've also noticed that as well, like even using a 150 Hunter and being able to adjust up to red line and blue line respectively, there's not a lot of buttons. It's something that, like, I think like my Rune Keeper has a lot of buttons, but I don't actually know the rotation on it quite yet. The skills do feel meaningful in a lot of ways. Like there's certain, I think like Vexing Blow on Guardian I hardly ever use, but I'm mostly playing solo right now. I'm sure that if I really needed to generate aggro during an on-tier raid, I'm sure I'd be using it a little bit more to make sure my party members aren't actually doing things. Even then, unless I'm making super big pulls, I was doing some of the North Downs missions last night. Like, I did a full pull of one of the Trestle Bridge instances, and, like, yeah, I had to pop my mitigations, but, like, in solo play, you're hardly ever popping your mitigations, even on level. And I've had a lot of really nice people end up helping out, and it's been very fun to enjoy it, because they're very much like is a very cool hardcore community for this game, and it's been very cool to kind of just play it on stream, because I can play this for 12 hours consistently on stream. It's not one of those games that gets you buku metrics, but I do it because the game makes me happy. In terms of the combat being clunky, there's a couple things that I can definitely cite in regards to why it feels that way. I'm used to slide casting in Final Fantasy 14. For those that don't know, Final Fantasy 14 has something called slide casting. It's how the server actually processes a tick, as I understand it. But it's like the last like fifth of your cast bar you can actually move. So you use Deslee's motion as Black Mage, right? You're doing a big charge up spell and then you can move. Or like Samurai can slide cast. Anything with an induction time can slide cast. Some people will actually put an emote at the end of their bar, and the emote will light up when you can physically slide cast because of how it processes it. Lord of the Rings Online doesn't have that. There's been a non-zero amount of times where I've moved forward and I've stopped holding W to move forward and hit a button to like do an action, and it says you can't do it while moving. You very much have to like start. You have to like, it's not even like you have to like rev up and get up to speed, but you have to like start, and when you stop, there's a little bit of a delay to when your character actually stops. I don't know how much of that's engine. I don't know how much of that is connectivity, especially because we did, this is actually new since this video launched, because this video launched, this is Josh Strife Hayes' older mic, so 3 years ago. We did have the 32-bit crunch into the 64-bit servers, so I was on Landrival. Like, I lost everything on Landrival until they brought it back for character imports, which I did. I have my Hunter and a bunch of others back that I did have. But like, especially going into the 64-bit servers, connectivity has been a really big issue. But then again, connectivity has also been an issue on Final Fantasy 14 recently, because whoever keeps DDoSing 14, you need to knock it off. You need to go fill out a job app. I'm going to put that politely, okay? Knock it off. It's making it really rough to play. But I could definitely, like in terms of movement, in terms of combat jankiness, it definitely takes a little bit of time to get used to. And definitely facing the target and having the right, the right angle of looking at them is definitely something that takes a little bit of getting used to. But then again, I also play Hunter, so I can mitigate a little bit of that, especially when I'm playing Redline Hunter, because I just post as a effective turret. And that thing right there, that thing's going down. It's good music. It's a good track.
We're now halted to watch the drama, and this is something the game does at important story moments. Every now and again you'll be forced to stand still and watch in-game cutscenes. Lord of the Rings Online is a very narrative-driven game, showing you the story is a major design choice. They even call these bits drama moments. We rescue Celadine from a cage, and she immediately gets a flaming torch and hurls it onto the roof of the bandit camp, burning the place down. Oh, I like you. A woman of action. No messing, just fire. Rescue more prisoners, then get sent to see what Strider is up to. He's meant to be with the ranger Amdir, so we round the corner and find Amdir fighting a Black Rider. And we can't help because the gate is locked, so we are forced to watch as Amdir is stabbed. And then the flames of the burning camp drive the Black Rider off. Strider asks for our help to get Amdir to safety, and we can finish the quest now or later. Now, finishing quests sometimes graphically changes the world, so you're warned to do everything you were doing before moving on, as you may lose some optional story threads. So
this is actually, we were exploring this recently, because I had to get my legendary item. I don't think he touches on legendary items in this, because that is at minimum level 45, and you have to go into the Moria expansion a little bit. But outside the gates of Moria, there's it's still a map you can still visit, but because the expedition moves into Moria at the conclusion of that quest line, you lose the ability to go back and do some of the optional quests in the area. So you can miss out on stuff, but the game does generally do a very good job of explaining it. I will say as well, too, with the Northdown quest specifically, if the game is prone to bugging in certain areas, they do make sure to telegraph that as well. Specifically in the Northdown mission instances, and people know exactly what I'm talking about if you've played those. There's red text where it's like, if the, I don't remember the name, begins with an R, but if their summon does not appear or the skill icon is not there, to use the release pet command to try to brute force it, right? Like it actually shows in red text, or it'll show in like green text if a quest is irrepeatable, right? They do a very good job of disclosing certain information, which I'm a huge fan of, right? Dead Space Remake, make sure, hey, do you want to go down to Aegis 7, right? This is a point of no return. Final Fantasy 7 Crisis Core Reunion, right? The one with Zack, Genesis, right? And Angeal. It tells you, hey, if you leave here to go to Nibelheim, you can't come back here, right? I like when games do give you that meta information to make the most educated decision that you can. And I think that I like seeing it, and it crops up every now and again. I think that it's okay to put that in games. It's okay to put content you can miss. Just make sure the player reasonably knows that you will miss content. As I think that's also a relevant use of metagame dialogue. I mean, sure, you could go in regards to Isaac talking to Nicole about going down to Aegis 7, right? You reasonably know that you're not going to be able to come back to the Ishimura, right? But having that meta commentary, that notification or pop-up or clarification of, hi, game dev here. Are you sure you want to go down to Aegis 7? Are you sure you want to go to Nibelheim, Zach, right? Because you might not be able to come back to Shinra, right? I think that's a good example of using metagame dialogue to be able to convey something. Hey, Northdown instances seem kind of buggy. If this ends up happening, just try to release pet command. I mean, alternatively, you just leave the instance and then come back into the instance, try to refresh the whole thing, right? I think it's cool. I just wanted to take a second because I noticed some games do that, but not all of them do.
We set off, and there's a cutscene.
I love the cutscenes.
Wounded by a Black Rider, the Ranger Amdir escaped with his charges into the wild, making his way back to the village of Archet.
There, Captain Brackenbrook, a retired sellsword, has allowed Strider and his companions to stay and take respite from their cares.
Now we're in a new village. Let's just get our bearings. The minimap is fine. The world map, Okay, we have a world map, but it's...
Yo, is this the old world map or is this the new one? I think this might be newer. Oh my god. Give me a second here. Lotro map. Let's do Aridloon. Because we were literally talking about this on stream literally last night. How some of the maps have seen an overhaul. I don't know. I'm trying to pull up a good... This would be old. Yeah, so this is new. This is the new map, right? And my horn's kind of covering it, so give me a second to actually hide my model. I know it's a little hard to see, but you see it. But you'll if going into a map like this, you'll see how you have kind of height maps. Things are kind of shaded. You go from the snowy region up by Thorin's Hall. You go down through the Vale of Thrain. By the time you hit Gondamon, about in the center of the map, that's when the snow starts to disappear, and then you go down to Kalandim, right? That's very much green and lush. But this is a newer version of the maps, where this was the old version of the map, where, yeah, you kind of have the colors and stuff, but, like, it's just night and day. It is so strange to see that some of the maps have been updated since I played back in Shadows of Angmar, and to kind of see where they're at now. So I think this is an older map, if I understand that correctly. It's been wild to compare and contrast.
It's a little bit low resolution. It feels stretched, like trying to play an old Windows 98 game on a modern monitor, but it is serviceable. It'll do for now, but improvements could be made.
Yeah.
There's even a tick box for quest guide, so more optional place.
I think this is the new map, yeah. So Arch, it looks like an old one, but you zoom out. This feels like this is new art for Bree map.
Styles. Nice. So quests in the game show up...
Let me go back to that.
For quest guide, so more optional playstyles. Nice. So quests in the game show up as 3 possible icons, both on the minimap and above the NPC heads. A golden ring for side quests, a flaming ring for the epic quest lines, and a ring with a quill through it for additional info you might find useful. And
trivial quests as well are going to be kind of a silver transparent ring. Trivial quest being if you're going back at level 40 and you're doing a level 20 quest, it will show up as that. There is actually an option that chat had to help me find in the menu. You go to, I think it's settings UI, and then it's like show trivial quests on the minimap. So you'll be able to find some quests so you can do 100% runs easier.
When you accept a quest, you can see the suggested level, in this case 1, and team size, in this case solo. And if you do accept a quest, your journal will record all the info about that quest, including a full history recap of who you spoke to and what they said. And this is a really, really good journal system. Now, it doesn't have everything, like locations you accepted the quest in, or where it wants you to go, or arrows pointing to stuff, but it does provide enough information for you to work that all out. Talk to some local people and get told you can edit your inventory layout. Oh, that's cool. You can switch around the available storage space in the different bags that you have. So we get given some armor, and the stats seem pretty grounded and understandable for now. Just a simple armor value.
I feel like he's playing at 720p. I don't know how to describe it, because I knew it was a little blurry, so I went up to 1080. I don't know why my player did that. I feel like he's playing at 720 because of how things are positioned. No, he should be at 1080. I don't know. That's so strange to me, because there's a difference I've noticed when going from 720 back in the day on Intel 3000 integrated graphics laptop, right, to this. Man, I've been in this game way too long.
This won't suffer from power creep
Definitely
too
not.
much.
Nope,
We
no,
have
sir.
a chat to the local Captain Brackenbrook, responsible for defence of the village, about the bandit attack we were captured in. He tells us to talk to the locals to assess the reality of a bandit threat, so we...
Okay, we want to talk about power creep. What is it? Barrow Brie Lotro? Ah, there it is. Item, Barrow Brie. So it's a cheese. It's a food item. It's cheese. Bind on acquire. Consumed on use. What does this cheese do? I hear you ask. Oh, just 130 shadow damage initially, and 130 shadow damage every 2 seconds for 1,200 seconds. It's Barrow Brie. It's quite smelly, and no doubt highly deadly. Only the unwise should eat it. As I understand it, actually, back in the day, there was a challenge for surviving it. You'd have to survive like the full 1,200 seconds. But I think there was a title or something that you could get. Nowadays, it's trivial because we're expansions ahead. But like, I love that this item exists, right? Like, Item. What does item do? It's cheese that just hurts you and can potentially kill you. I don't know. I enjoy this game. This game reminds me of L5R in certain ways, as it feels like there was, at least in Shadows of Angmar, I guess. I don't know what the dev team's like. I would love to see the dev logs and have some back end knowledge of it, right? But very much like just some cool people got together and they made the thing, right? I get a lot of really cheeky and really cool vibes from it, and I can't wait to catch up to current content to see what else they've done.
And everyone actually feels fine, and they think we're overreacting. Now, I really like this because it has completely subverted my expectations. In most fantasy stories, you'd be immediately believed on account of being the main character, but here, the locals think you are lying and they demand proof. It immediately makes me feel insignificant in a good way. I know there's a threat, but I need proof beyond my own word, because until I've proved myself, my word has no weight. Right. So Strider tells me to go and speak to the skill trainers and see what they think. And this is a small but lovely touch. The skill trainers aren't just stood around waiting for players to talk to them, like boring mechanics. They're actually training other NPCs like living beings. The brawler is punching, the ranger is shooting a bow. This feels like a training camp.
So I will say he absolutely has a point here. They are doing things. The world does, you have to, especially with this, because you are having to prove, hey, the Black Wool thread is a thing, right? As I've played through this once upon a time, I do dwarves or elves, so I usually start in Eredlune. But I've done this one a couple of times. I've done the Race of Man start. And it's like, you have to build, it's logical. Hi, you're John Nobody. Why should we take your word that there's a Black Wool threat here and arch it? Why? Like, what proof do you have? You could just be weird, right? You could just be a weirdo. We're not going to take a word of some random, right? And it makes sense. It's logical. The progression makes sense. I remember back in Mad Day, the skill trainers, you actually had to buy your skills from them. Now you're auto-rewarded them. Certain ones like reputation skills like Return to Thorin's Hall or Return to Rivendell, right? You do have to earn via rep grind. But like, you don't have to buy your Vexing Blow or your Quick Shot or your is it Quick Sting? Whatever champion's quick ability is. Sorry, not champion. Captain's quick ability is. It's like, it's one of those things that's so, it's old game is old, right? Because back in my day, we had to buy skills. Now you're rewarded them. So I think they've kind of just been relegated to maybe a couple of quests, if that. But for all intents and purposes, these NPCs are depreciated and have been depreciated for a long time. And I don't know if I want to see if he actually brings it up.
We show this combat dummy who is boss and get a choice of new weapons, Great Axe, Great Sword, or Warhammer. The DPS is the same on all of them, but the effects are different, so it's a case of setting up a playstyle and not just choosing the bigger number. Now, Andir is still suffering from a minor case of being very stabbed, so we need to go and find some medicine, and this means travelling to the wolf-infested forest. And when I leave the village and step into the countryside for the first time, I feel genuinely adventurous. Lord of the Rings Online is indeed old. It's got clunky combat and some of the quests are a novella worth of reading. The graphics and textures aren't the highest quality and some of the upgrade paths and systems are overly complicated, but the moment-to-moment feeling of exploring in this game is fantastic.
Let me finish.
Music is brilliant, composed by Chance Thomas. This game's score has been nominated for multiple awards. The entire soundtrack is, without a doubt, a sublime piece of video game art. Now, this dude...
100%. Like, he's absolutely correct on this. As much as I hate going into the Lone Lands, I've had to solo the Lone Lands multiple times. I hate going into the Lone Lands, but even then, even having to go on my... Deed farm and Matt farm on my 150 Hunter because I was trying to level up Forrester and Taylor specifically. Having to go back to the eastern side of the Lone Lands near Osgurth all the way to the Trollshaws Bridge. I mean, I still enjoy my time. One thing I've noticed about me in 14 is like, yeah, I can run modern raid content, right? I still need to get more Savage experience. I do have Everkeep EX Close under my belt, halfway about to Sphene Laser Phase, Sphene EX Laser Phase. Part of that's because I have to do it by a party finder, and it's not easy to do that via Party Finder, especially when people have to keep leaving and stuff. It's easier to set that up in a static. I like playing high tier content. I even came from Destiny playing high tier content like raids, even doing GMs with a couple friends. But like, I very much enjoy playing that high tier content. So I'm coming back around to my point. In doing that in 14, I noticed that the world is a little small, and I hardly visit. Like, I don't know when the last time I've genuinely been to Yangsha has been. I think I've gone there a couple of times. Azim Steppe, when's the last time someone's been there? When's the last time someone's been to, I don't know, Edge of the Universe, Endwalker area, right? The final Endwalker area. Like, it has a name. I don't remember what the name is offhand. But, like, most of my times I go to like my 5 Aetheryte points that I need to. If I'm doing Book for Chloe, maybe I need to go to the Gold Saucer and do my MGP grind. Maybe I need to go to Solution 9 currently in Dawn Trail and get some of my raid gear, turn some of my stuff in, right? But like I can instance anywhere, instance into Howling Blade from anywhere. Like I have the world itself, especially because flying as well. Like you understand why they like games like Final Fantasy XIV do it, but it feels like it also trivializes the world a little bit. But the world isn't necessarily the focus outside of like the main quests and quests, right? Whereas in Lord of the Rings, you are exploring Middle-earth. We don't have a flying mount, at least as far as I'm aware. We have steeds. We have, maxing out at plus 68% movement speed. Technically, I think you can spend Lotro points to get it to plus 78% movement speed, the extra 10%, but it's an arm and a leg. And you can learn Lotro points just free to play. Like you can free to play this game with enough ults. It's entirely possible. Well, you are missing certain things like Mariner and stuff like that, but that's beside the point. It's interesting to compare and contrast the world states, and that even said, this makes me curious about World of Warcraft as well. I don't think they have skill trainers do things anymore. It makes me wonder how going through Orgrimmar and going through other areas feels with flying mounts. It makes me wonder if the world has been depreciated in the same ways that 14 can feel like sometimes, or if it's going to be like Lord of the Rings Online, where you can go through the Lone Lands for the 10th time, maybe 20th time, depending on how deep you are into this game, and it still feels good to go through. Like you go to the Lone Lands and you see, is it Dol Ring West or Dol, whatever's south, right? South, once you enter the Lone Lands, go to the Forsaken Inn, right? And it feels good to go see things like Rivendell, to go see Bilbo's Trolls and the Troll Shaws. To see Isengard, I hear, is one of the best raids in the game, and I'm very excited to get to that. But I know Josh Strife Hayes has said this in the past as well. If it takes you 300 hours to enjoy the game, you can just not enjoy the game. What is the game doing in that first 300 hours to sell you on the experience? And I think there's a bit of criticism with that, but I also understand what he's saying, and I do have respect and understanding for that. If the game from the get-go captures my interest, that is my bias. I will sit there and I've read this on stream, right? I've had to read this on stream. My speech pattern is not the best having to read on stream. So it's also practice for me actually doing speech things and working through it on stream, right? So going up to Alder Cobb, intro, the Wolves of the Ruins. Well, if it isn't the rumor monger, I've heard all about you, Josh Hayes. As you can see for yourself, there are no brigands causing problems. It's the wolves that threaten us lately. They seem to have gathered us around Brown's Folly, especially at the top of the ruins. Brackenbrook sent you to assist me, and assist me you shall. I would like to have you look into the wolf problem we are having. Now imagine doing this for 12 hours a stream multiple days a week. I enjoy it, but my speech pattern is not very strong with it, and I'm very self-conscious about it, but I enjoy things like this. I kind of don't like when you have multiple quest chains. This is what I liked about 14, is that you don't necessarily have multiple quest chains. You kind of go to NPC, pick up quest, gather 10 bear asses, come back, and then you finish the quest, right? Like, that's very much 14. There's not really overarching quests, where if you go to the Forsaken Inn, there's been a non-zero amount of times where I've gone to an NPC and I picked up all the quests I can, and then I've come back, turned in all the quests, and I'll come back later and suddenly they have a new quest, and I'm like, I literally cleared you out of quests. What do you mean, right? There's a little bit of frustration there, but like, it also feeds into it being a living and breathing world. So this is all to say, I enjoy MMO content. And that's kind of what I'm streaming at this point. Like, I'll stream things like Ocarina of Time, Near Replicant. I'll stream other things, but I'm mostly swapping to MMOs because, one, the grind's pretty big, and I know that like the metrics aren't good for it, but I also don't really care because I have a lot of fun and I have a lot of fun, get a lot of enjoyment out of these things. But moral of the story is that I think that one of these strengths, at least Shadows of Angmar, I can't speak to anything past Moria. I've gone into the first reaches of Moria. The world building is immaculate. Like, it looks really cool to see ruins. It looks really cool to see places like Weathertop. It looks really cool to see Bree, especially when there's so many minstrels performing in Bree, and they have to have all their layered instances, and Bree still lags when you go through it. It's a charming game, and I think charming and quaint are words I would use for it.
Calder tells us if we're going to hunt for medicine, we should also kill the wolves at the local ruined folly. And if we're going that way anyway, check the top of the ruins for the source of the wolves, if we'd be so kind, please and thank you. And oh, the world map has Questuron showed as a coloured overlay, and you can manually change the colours. What a small but lovely touch.
Yes,
now, fighting the wolves is again dividing. On one hand, the combat system feels janky, with attack distances not easy to see, auto attack not the easiest to begin because there's a slight delay on every input, and the ability queue system sometimes not responding fast enough. But on the other hand, I do feel my choices are having substantial weight on the outcome of the battle. Killing enemies...
So this is something for people who understand the system a little more than I do. Is there a priority or a speed system? Because... So Lotro doesn't function on a global cooldown system, right? You know how like in 14, right, you have your global cooldowns, and I'm sure WoW does as well, right? Where I actually don't know enough about WoW, but you have your main skills, and then you'll have your off global cooldown skills, which you weave in between your big skills. So like for Warrior, right, I do my 1, my 2, my 4 technically to get my Rage Surging Tempest up, and then I'll OGCD my Berserk, and then my global will be my first like Fell Cleave big hit, and then I'll weave in my single target, then I'll weave in a dash, and then you can technically weave in 3, but it gets you start clipping into your abilities. But like I can go through my rotation, irrelevant because people can't see what I'm talking about. But there are global cooldowns. Your global cooldowns are kind of how the game is function. Lotro doesn't quite have a global cooldown system. I ask if there's a speed tier because one of the interrupts as Guardian I have is called Stamp. When you see a base of an enemy start charging, you can use Stamp to knock them out of the ability. I'm sure there's abilities you can't knock people out of. I'm sure that comes later. However, it seems more often than not, regardless of how many buttons I'm pressing, and sometimes it does feel like inputs don't get read correctly. I think that's more server side. I have noticed when I do Stamp, usually that does go through. So it makes me wonder if there's a priority or if there's a speed system in regards to skills and activating. But very much, as I understand high tier Lotro play, it is very much you're going to learn about animation clipping. You're going to be learning about what's the most optimal damage rotation. You're very much trying to vomit as many skills and damage as you can, as many skills and as much damage as you can into a condensed area. And it's been very fascinating to dive into.
Also gets you loot, and there's a little area loot icon so you don't miss anything, and this loot lasts in your area claim box for about 1 hour, so you can just...
Back in my day, we had to manually loot everything.
Zone out and enjoy the music and kill stuff, and then pick everything up when you remember to do that. Is there fall damage?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. No damage, but injury. A debuff making you move slower for a while. That's a nice one.
I thought there was damage as well from high enough. If you fall from high enough, you will just gank yourself. The debuff is actually really interesting. I've also heard people say that the death system in this game, instead of doing corpse runs or something like that, like in World of Warcraft, the death system, the moral penalty stuff, debuff is actually one of the most interesting ways to handle it in the MMO genre.
Way of doing it. Got all the medicine, killed all the wolves, so I go and check the top of the folly as Calder asked me to, and an assassin jumps out saying Calder sent them and we need to die. What the hell, dude? So we deal with them and then go and ask Calder some questions. Questions like, Calder, why are you trying to kill me? It seems Calder is a member of the local bandits and he's planning on attacking the village, but he's also good mates with Captain Brackenbrook, and he doesn't mind telling us this because he knows the captain will never believe us. Oh, the plot thickens. Using pre-existing interpersonal relationships between NPCs to make our job of exposing treachery harder? That's quite nice writing. So we...
See, I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, well, he's just praising a nothing burger. I feel like it's important to point out what games do well when storytelling works, because especially nowadays, like, why is this character doing this? Motivation unclear. Or, cool, I guess they could do that, but that feels like a very janky way to go about that, right? Rewarding good writing should be normalized. We need to reward good writing when we see it, and call out bad writing when we see it, because we only get better products by having standards.
Question a captured black-walled bandit, and he confirms that, yeah, Calder is involved, but this is still not enough for proof. So we are sent to check on the farms to the south and see if they know anything about the secret bandit attack plan. Now, obviously, I want to save the village, but more importantly, you can see the quest rewards as you accept the quest, and this quest gives me a cape. And in any MMO, once you get a cape and some shoulder armor, you know you have made it. On my long run to the southern farm, and believe me, there is a lot of travelling in this game, I try to use the global chat to say hi, but it's level locked to prevent bots. But you know what's not level locked? Claiming my free silver hobbit gift. Oh, good. Free gift systems, so I can fill up my very limited inventory with random crap I don't need or understand.
That's me. I have to inventory Tetris so many times on stream. I do hear after 100, it does... The utility of Hobbit presence does start to go away a little bit. I think they scale up to 100, and then after that, especially for like high tier rating and stuff, right? You're having to make sure to craft. You want to make sure to craft your hope tokens. You're having to make sure to craft, your food. You will have your scrolls, which I think you buy from the Lotra shop. I don't know personally. I don't know if you can craft those. And I think you can run like actual like premium scrolls alongside crafted scrolls. It's been very fascinating hearing about the late game rating, because that's where I feel most comfortable. I want to learn things at an optimal level, at the highest levels of play, even if I'm not good at it. But I enjoy it. I will say that due to Hobbit presence and stuff, it can feel very gimmicky. It can feel very sleazy to be able to just, I don't know, get like a really good drop and just be able to like sleaze a bunch of virtue XP. But it does kind of help you, because the silver you can always open for free every 24 hours, and I open mine every 24 hours. I also will say, I don't know if he covers it in this one. The VIP benefits are kind of broken. They're not as good as they used to be. I remember them being a lot, but I remember back when they offered the $300 you can be a member for life, be a VIP for life. And being in middle school, I obviously didn't have $300, or else I would have absolutely bought that, and I'm sad that I missed that. I remember that back in my day. But it's like you, for like, 14 days, your equipment doesn't take wear and tear, even on death. You craft faster. Like, that VIP jug is stupid. And I would consider that very much pay to win. Like, you could, it just, you do so much things in quick succession. As somebody who had to craft like 250 Lebathron, thin sticks last night, because I had like 500 or 600. I don't remember what it was. Like, it was some stupid amount, because I was running around the Misty Mountains and the Troll Shaws, trying to level up crafters. I had like 300. No, I had like 500 or 600 of the actual like logs in my inventory, and I just crafted all those in like 2 minutes. Like, it's dumb.
And it even says, hey, you can pay real money for more free gifts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's not a free gift then, is it? That's just buying stuff. We'll look at the shop later. The southern farms are in trouble, and they need me to go to the local village of Combe and ask for some supplies, but when I get to Combe, it's under black-walled bandit control. That is how this area is the whole tutorial. It's hemmed in by a bandit attack. So I tell the southern farmers this, and he writes a letter for Captain Brackenbrook to confirm, yeah, we're actually in quite a bit of trouble, so I set off to deliver that. And in a nice touch, that letter is not just a random quest item in my inventory, it's a letter. You can read it. You know, so far I've found a lot of small but really nice touches which either increase the game accessibility or the variety of playstyles you can have, or enhance the immersion of the player into the world. Now, I know it's still early days, but I'm actually quite liking this. Brackenbrook, presented with evidence of the bandit threat, laments how many years ago their own son warned them of this growing bandit insurrection, but they didn't believe them and instead cast their son out of the village. So the son joined the local Rangers Lodge. But now the son may be their only hope for a defence. Brackenbrook, racked with guilt, begs us not to contact the son because of his pride, but Strider thinks we should put personal family feelings aside and ask the Rangers for help. So we set off to find him. Water. The is it better than New World test. Is there swimming?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, there is. And oh my god, those reflection graphics. Good lord, that looks nice. Finally, Rangers Lodge find John Brackenbrook. He understands the safety of the village matters more than the past feelings of family disagreements, and he agrees to help. Now, all the quest rewards seem to be either light, medium, or heavy armor, and I'm going full heavy so I can tank stuff and not die. Yeah. John asks us to go to a local bandit hideout and try and find the bandits' battle plans so we can prepare a defense. And this is the start of an actually quite logical series of tactical choices. While I'm in combat, I do notice there is a visual skill queue-up system. Some skills chain from one to the next, and pressing a skill button shows you this yellow edging rotating around the side, so you know it's going to happen next. So even if a skill is on cooldown, you can queue it up to happen when it's ready. Oh look, location-based weather. In the bandit ruins, it's cloudy, and then as you run outside, it becomes sunny again.
I've noticed a lot of those when you go to there's an area in the lowlands. It's to the south. It's past Dol Ring West, and then you go see the three Eglain people. The Eglain Elder, and then you see the Hobbit, and then you continue east along the bottom of the map, and then you reach it's a Dowerhand encampment. But when you get close to it, it gets darker, right? Or even in the lowlands as well. When you go into the Red Swamp, not Garth Argoen, like Agamar, right? Like you enter like Oscuruth, you go east, you go down into the swamp, and it comes a little bit more red, I think. But that mostly turns a little bit red once you get into Agamar. Haragmar proper, right? Is it Haragmar? I always get the names confused. Around Garth Argoen, until you get through the actual Red Pass into the Red Swamp, the area becomes a lot more red. And then, but when you go east of Agamar, like so Oscuruth, you go down into the little valley to the baby swamp, and then you go east even further around the Whites. You'll notice that the area darkens as well. When there's an area with gaunt men, Whites, some sort of dread factor, the lighting will change, and it's honestly really cool because it gets really dark. But it's been something that I've really enjoyed. I don't know how I'm 15 minutes in. I do apologize about this one. This is definitely going to be a long one to put on.
And then you run back inside and it becomes cloudy. I know they're just using it as an ambience thing, but it's kind of a shame it's not consistent across the map. Take John the plans and he says, right, the bandits are planning to use the old spider-infested eastern path to sneak around the back of the village. So we should go and check out that path, see what state it's currently in, see if the village wall there is still intact. So we chat to Acti Spiderbane, who helps us find the route. The hidden path is indeed full of spiders. And at the end of this path, we find a dead bandit scout. And the village wall fully intact. Okay, this is brilliant. I expected the bandits to have an assault party here already, but this is visual storytelling. The bandits have sent a guy to check on the viability of the path for an assault, and the guy died because it's not a good assault route and the spiders got him. Which means the bandits don't know this is a bad idea. So we tell John this route won't be good, but the bandits don't know this. So he decides, right, we'll set up a small ambush at the end of this spider path, so any bandits which do try to use it will be caught between rangers or spiders. This is a good plan. We are warned that finishing this quest will end every other side quest we're on because this is the last tutorial quest. But I am so invested in this village defense story. Let's do this right now. So the bandit siege has begun. The village is on fire. The bandits are swarming. Let's fight. We rush through. We meet Ulti again and we team up. And eventually we reach Captain Brackenbrook, who has a brief but emotionally intense reunion with his son. And then we all work together to defend the village from the waves of bandits until the traitor Calder shows up again.
The cargo soldiers. So they actually changed. Let me finish.
2 psychic cargo.
So there is a spot as you get into the Trollshaws where there are 2 locations in Shadows of Angmar in the base game. Or at least base game areas where you can find Cargul searchers in the wild. One is Angmar. The second is a very specific spot in the Trollshaws before they reworked it. Because you used to enter the Trollshaws and you just went like take it from the lowlands, go east across the bridge, and then you go immediately south. And there's a little break in the trees, and you go in there, and there's just a bunch of level 75 Cargul searchers just just a bunch of wraiths there. I don't know why. They did since change it. I think it's Cardolen now. I don't remember what the actual interrupt area is now. I've been searching for them again, though. I've been trying to figure out where they are, because according to the wiki, they're still there. Just interesting fact about the game, and how long I have been playing the game. I remember where to find the Cargill Searchers before they reworked that part of the Ettenmoors. Or, not Ettenmoors, excuse me. Trollshaws.
Presence prevents us from moving. Now, Calder, with the promise of riches and power, kills Captain Brackenbrook, forcing John, his son, to watch. And when the Cargill leave, the psychic domination effect ends and we fight back. We win, and then there's another cutscene.
With the Black Wolves' attack foiled, the people of Archet have begun to rebuild. Yet not all hurts are so easily mended. The fate of the Ranger Amdia remains uncertain and may have dire consequences for Breland.
That was a lot darker than I was expecting it to be. We now get a milestone skill, which lets you teleport to the connected village, and you can link your milestone skill to whatever new village you visit. Think of it like a Hearthstone. We chat to...
This is also one of the things you can do as well. So your milestone is by default, you get 1, and then it is a 60-minute cooldown. 495 Lotro points times 2 gets you both travel skills that stack on each other, and it does tell you in the store they can stack on each other to the point where you can reduce milestones to 5 minutes. I think you can also buy with Lotro points 9 more milestone skills. Like, you can definitely expedite this game, but it will cost you Lotro points. You can also pick up a 4th crafting profession. That's like, I think, 995. You can also get crafting catch-alls. I think those are 1995 Lotro points. So you can definitely drop money on this game if you're so inclined. Or if you have the time, you can grind out all of those Lotro points because they are not character-bound, they are account-bound. Just things to help move around the map easier.
John, who's understandably distraught after seeing his father killed right in front of him, and we get the next quest. Go and bury the dead. Okay, that whole village bit was an intro, and as far as intros go, it's really good. I feel pretty confident in my abilities now. I have a basic understanding, and I feel ready to go and explore. This was good pacing. And the fact that we're in the same village, but the whole thing is charred and burnt down, this is really impressive. So I start burying the local dead. And I get told that some coins have been sent to my wallet, and I can open the wallet with B. So I open the wallet, and there it is, a big button, Mithril coins. Okay, Lord of the Rings Online, let's do this. What's the shop like? The in-game premium shop actually opens in a browser window, and it is...
It no longer does anymore. I will say, I keep having issues every time I try to buy Lotro points with via Steam. For some reason... it is a pain to put in my card details. The fields, it doesn't have the funny, like, you know, when you try to type something in, right? How if you try to type something in, you see that, right? Like the funny line, the vertical line. It doesn't even give me that, and so it's kind of have to like stress and finagle it. And even then, like, my card's been active and it declined my purchase, and I'm like, checks account, my card's not off. This other purchase just worked. Sometimes Lotro is just old. Buying Lotro points is sometimes a little bit of a pain.
Extensive. Want to gain experience faster? Not a problem. Want to stop experience gain altogether so you can continue your PvP levels? That's fine. Want to
I do disagree with the experience disabler costing money, though.
To buy a level boost? Yep, it's all there. You can even buy the new class and... Hang on, what's this? Monster classes.
It's PvP.
For the monster versus player mode. Oh, I'm definitely checking that out later. So most of the shop is extra game content, either massive expansions like the current Fate of Gundabad, or smaller local quest chains. Packs which add around 40 to 70 quests to a specific map or area, and content packs vary between 1,000 to 3,000 Lord of the Rings Online points, and 40 quid will get you 9,000 points, so it's not unaffordable, but it is abusively priced to mean you'll always be slightly over or slightly under what you need. But there is a hell of a lot to buy. You can spend 3,000 points to make your horse go up to 78% faster. You can buy a Tome of Defense to increase your defense for a short time. Same with speed or...
I don't know why you would do this. Maybe if you're doing like a raid either on level. Like if I was running Rift at 150, which I've wanted to do, I think that'd be really fun to run. I guess maybe you would buy this if you were doing, like, you knew you were doing raids, right? And you wanted to... Lotro is very consumable heavy in endgame, I've been told, especially because you need hope tokens. Like Dread is just an absolute pain to deal with. I love the system. I love the Hope Dread system. I think it's really neat. I think it's very flavorful. But you definitely need consumables in this one. I don't know what WoW is like. I don't know what Guild Wars 2 is like. RuneScape is very consumable heavy as well, with your Saradomin and Brews, your Prayer Restore Prots, especially when you get the Blessed Flask because of that. Every time I think about doing the Blessed Flask grind, it kills my enjoyment of the game because that is a long grind. I would have to get with someone else, and we'd have to have, the buddy system, keep each other accountable to do the Blessed Flask, because, man, I would love to have 2 of those, because you can't have 2 Blessed Flasks, as far as I'm aware, but it just takes forever to even get one. I don't know where you'd buy the Tome of Defenses. Even then, there's debate if the 78% faster is worth it, because the fastest steeds are already 68%. Do you really need that min-max 10%? And even then, so something like Tome of Defense for 6 hours, go just do some deed farming. I don't know what it's like at max if you've 100%ed everything, but even then, you can always just gen a new character, right? That is just a time sink as well, but you can absolutely gen a character. I've been thinking about going to Mordor and Angmar because they have some really cool events I was hearing about how the Nazgul can spawn, and then the Nazgul can even drop their rings of power on the server. And then those rings of power, you can only have one of each drop at any given time, and then they do things within the Nazgul instances. But it's a cool way to do that, right? Not only is it a progression-locked server, but you're also able to fight against the Nazgul as world bosses. I don't know. To me, it's really cool. I've been very much loving learning about the game.
Outgoing healing or attack. So yeah, there are just a ton of straight-up temporary stat boosts for sale. If you're struggling in a raid or a dungeon, not a problem. Drop some cash, boost, win. But I did mention at the start that they're giving away a load of stuff for free. Now, back in March, they decided to make all of the older expansions part of the main free game. And if you're a monthly subscriber, you'll get access to a load of the smaller quest packs. You only really need to buy the latest main expansion. And as we'll see later, there is a way to do this using in-game currency. It's actually a really decent amount of content for free. It's just a very overwhelming, very pay-to-win shop.
Very
and while
overwhelming.
browsing the shop, I died. Now, you can revive where you are or go back to a stone circle outside of town, and reviving where you are does have a cooldown, so I get back to my burying bodies quest. You know what I like? You're not the chosen one. You're not destined to be great, you're not magical or special, you're just an adventurer helping out. You were in the right place at the right time and you did what you could. And if people do come to see you as a hero, it's because you chose to do heroic things. Not because of some predestined birthright or immutable prophecy. Your rewards are of your own doing.
I'm kind of mixed on that. I agree with him for the most part. And then I remember we literally fight a Balrog in Rift. The end of Rift, one of the base Shadows of Angmar raids. You fight a Balrog at the end of Rift. You fight how Goldberry, Tom Bombadil, Goldberry is one of the River Maidens, in Garth Argoen in the Lone Lands. You fight one of the maidens. And I get, so it feeds into his point where yeah, you're just kind of a guy. It's the Dark Souls 1 thing where I don't know, I'm just a random guy. I said, yes, I'll do the thing. And then things escalated, right? That kind of thing. But even then, lesser men, lesser beings will quiver and flee in sight of an entity like a Balrog. What is it? Deus Ex Machina kind of comes into play when you get your first legendary item too, right? You go towards the walls of Moria, the Watcher in the water, his tentacles pop out, they smack a bunch of dwarves around, and then you go outside and oh yeah, the Iron, I think it was the Iron Garrison. I don't know too much about them because I haven't actually finished SOA. It's a work in progress. That's why I'm doing my progression series on the gaming channel. But we found all these really cool ancient weapons, and then you pick your weapon of choice, and then you go fight the Watcher, and that's your legendary item tutorial, right? There's parts of it that are I'm sorry, what do you mean we just fight one of the River Maidens? Especially because they refer to Tom Bombadil by his actual name. I don't remember what his name is offhand. I didn't even know until chat pointed it out, though. They're talking about Tom Bombadil. They're talking about his older name. And then just Balrog. Literal Balrog. So I kind of half agree with him there. I agree with him on the stance that, like, yeah, you're just kind of a random person. But you do fight some pretty big threats just in Shadows of Angmar alone. I hear that in the and I try to go this as spoiler free as possible. I've heard that in the Orthanc instance, you actually do deal with Saruman's Ring of Power, and you do actually like have to deal with Saruman. It's you're dealing with some pretty big threats. Like, very much it's very much the like Japanese RPG, you know, save cat at level 1, level 99, go fight God. I'm kind of feeling some of that, but like it's interesting how Lord of the Rings Online presents a lot of this.
I also like how when you teleport back to your milestone town, your avatar studies a map with a magnifying glass. Because I relate to it so hard. You're basically saying, I have no idea where I am, let's go home. Back in town, a wandering stranger has been looking for the hero of Archet, and that's likely us because of our actions during the defense of the village. So we are sent to the village of Combe and told to go to the Combe and Wattle Inn. And now the first experience of lag. The player base has warned me Lord of the Rings Online can get very laggy, and up until now I've been fine, but God, going through this village gate, I get attacked by something, I can't see anything, and then a wolf lags in, dies, and I rubber band around for about 3 minutes. If this is what the player base knows as standard, no wonder they are struggling to hold players.
Yeah! Go to Bree any day that you know that there's going to be people like en masse playing instruments and stuff. Go to Bree. Holy lag, Batman.
Issue navigating in towns. The world map is low resolution and can be zoomed in or out with left or right click, but never to any real usable degree of detail. We need like a mouse wheel scroll. It's a more general location, and the mini-map can't be changed at all. So in busy towns like this one, icons overlap one another and navigation is more annoying than it needs to be. Please, Lord of the Rings Online, if you revamp anything, let it be your map system. Into the inn, we head upstairs and meet Torodan, another ranger. They introduce us to traits. So there's actually even more pacing in this tutorial. The player isn't assaulted with an overwhelming amount of systems too soon. You are given more as you explore more.
I remember back in my day when we didn't even have the trait trees. You got your abilities and you got all of them, and then they split into red line, blue line, yellow line. I remember.
J opens the traits menu. You've got class, race, and virtue traits, buffs gained as you level up and then arranged to form a more unique character to your own playstyle. Now, I don't worry about this right now. I get sent to help out Constable Underhill, and when I leave the inn, a little box pops up telling me I have the riding skill. Cool, I can use mounts. Where is the riding skill? Can't seem to find it on the skills menu. Or the traits menu. It's not active or passive. Am I just missing it? I even open up the help menu from the escape menu, which loads the knowledge base of the game. I search for riding, and nothing comes up.
I'm trying to remember. So I've got a bunch of like the supporter bundles and stuff. So anytime I generate a new character, I get that riding skill almost immediately. Riding used to be, I think you had to hit level 20. And then you had to go to a specific spot in Bree to get the riding skill. They very much changed that. They very much made early game a lot more accessible because people just have access to mounts now.
Wow, your in-game knowledge base doesn't have info that a player might need, even relating to a keyword. What a great design. Eventually, I just Google it. The riding skill, the base level one, which lets you use a mount, is in the cash shop. Now bear in mind, you have a mount in your inventory for free, but you can't use it. That's terrible. A pop-up telling you you can buy riding, but you do literally need to buy riding. Now, as I play more, I do discover this system isn't as bad as it seems. You can use in-game currency, but consider for a moment that a new player gets to this point, Googles Lord of the Rings Online riding skill, and gets told, yeah, you've got to pay real cash for that. That is a quit moment right there. Right. Constable Underhill says the Blackwalled bandits are defeated but not gone completely, and he thinks there's a spy remaining and supplying them in the village. So
let me finish.
Before we go and hunt that spy down, let's have a read of some reviews.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here, right? Not necessarily to fully like defend the game, but to play devil's advocate. How many people have you heard say that they would play World of Warcraft more, even with the microtransactions, if they just didn't have a sub fee? Lord of the Rings Online, yes, does technically have a sub fee. Technically it does. However, it is optional. You do not need to pay the VIP fee. You don't need to pay the VIP subscription. You don't need to. I do. I like my VIP subscriber jug. I think it's dumb. I also get to support a game that that honestly just makes me happy, right? And that's as much as I need to defend that. It makes me happy. I'll go spend money on it, right? Much like Warframe, right? Warframe comes out with a new bundle, and it's like Warframe makes me happy to play. I haven't played it a lot recently, but it's something that I do play, and I honestly enjoy it. If we want to structure this like World of Warcraft, or want to structure this like 14, like base Shadows of Angmar is Final Fantasy 14 A Realm Reborn, or World of Warcraft like vanilla, as I understand it, right? Like it's the base game. And then, you have like TBC, was it Burning Crusade first? I don't remember. I don't know WoW expansions. That's outside of my wheelhouse. Like TBC, Heaven's Ward from Final Fantasy 14. That's kind of like Moria, right? And then you have your expansions, right? But for Final Fantasy 14 and World of Warcraft, you do need to play. You need to pay. You need to pay a sub fee to even access the game, to have access to play the content you bought. If we want to go Guild Wars, right? Guild Wars, you need to buy the base game, and then you can buy the expansions, right? So in playing devil's advocate, what I'm trying to bring up here is that part of this, I think, is forgiven with 2 points. One, that the game is truly free to play. You can just pick this game up on Steam right now. You install the launcher and you can log in, you can play the game. 2, you technically can earn Lotro points. You can earn premium currency with enough playtime doing Slayer deeds, rep grinds, things like that, right? Like challenges, right? Discovering locations, exploring. You can earn that. And I mean, there's nothing saying that you can't run a character up to 150, 100% the game, delete it, and then do it all over again. I don't know if there's a level cap way of earning more Lotro points once you've done everything. I don't know. That's outside of my expertise right now, because I haven't done 100% of this game. So yeah, your writing skill is technically 95, right? But through enough playtime, you can get enough Lotro points to just buy it, right? Or you can fast track it with, credit card no jutsu. Don't get me wrong. He does bring up some very good points, and that's not me trying to be dismissive of his points. That's not me saying that he's wrong, and this is, well, yeah, I think a lot of Lotro players, me included, just go, yeah, cool, you can buy your 4th profession and milestone cooldown skills in the Lotro shop, right? But I think it's seen as incredibly fair in comparison to a lot of other games, because you can play this game free to play. Yes, you do have to buy your quest packs. Yes, you have to buy your expansions, right? But you have to do that for World of Warcraft. Even though I subbed to Final Fantasy 14, once Dawn Trail's done and we get 8.0, I'm going to have to buy 8.0 expansion, right? Like, when we compare and contrast, I think there is a specific value proposition that this game does give you. It's expired now, but when they swapped over to the 64-bit servers, for new accounts, they had the Explore Our World redeem, right? Which they just gave everybody a bunch of content via store redeem code, right? You could argue they should have just unlocked it for everybody, but and that's kind of FOMO-ish, right? Which you could also argue the fact that they did the sunsetting of the 32-bit servers going into the 64-bit servers. We talked about that all at the start of my progression series. Like, you could argue that it is a little bit of FOMO, but you can't, in my line of work, you can't ever get anyone on the same page. Everyone will not be on the same page. If I tell you I have a Lord of the Rings progression series on the gaming channel, right? If I go to Kiznakip Gaming and it's like, hey, I have TF2 stuff here, I have Hollow Knight stuff here that I'm currently on break from, Dead Space, Resident Evil 4, Lord of the Rings Online, right? Silent Hill 2, right? Space Marine 2, right? Like, if I talk about some of these things, how many people will still say, and I don't mean this in a negative way, how many people will still say they've never heard of the channel? That's just how that works. Nobody will ever be on the same page. And to Standing Stone's credit, they did bring back the 32-bit servers into kind of that dark state where, like, you can still bring your characters forward. So there's a lot that goes around this. I agree with a lot of his points, but I would also substitute some counterpoints of my own. Not even just to play really devil's advocate. I will play devil's advocate in certain aspects, but I do think that there are certain considerations made because of the game being free to play in a lot of aspects. And as well as being able to earn Lotro points, to be able to learn premium currency, if not at an expedited rate. But the fact that you can still do that, right? And people did praise that about Helldivers, being able to earn your funny currency in game, to be able to buy your war bonds, right? So I do think there's different considerations that are made because this is not WoW, because this is not 14, right?
It's really good. When I first picked up this game about a month ago, I didn't expect to like it half as much as I did. I just wanted to dip my toes into an MMO I hadn't tried before, but what I ended up with was a world where I wanted to linger. I admit I don't know how well the atmosphere would translate over for someone less familiar with Professor Tolkien's work, but I think the moments that made me stop and just want to linger in the scenery don't require that much connection to the lore. The gameplay turned out to be neatly adjustable to various playstyles. I picked Hunter as my first class and wasn't disappointed with all the fast travel options it offered and the DPS, but I think at this point I've read people calling a good half of all the classes their favourite for solo play, which I think says a lot. Couldn't get into.
There is also, I think it's the Hardened Veteran or whatever, there's an NPC now outside of like Thorin's Hall, right? Like there's an NPC outside of area of like settlements that you can actually adjust the difficulty of your game up to +1 to +8. And people in chat were saying that they've gone up to +3 solo, which it just means the enemies get harder and stuff, right? So if you're playing with a group of friends, if you're playing with, say, I don't know, 3 or 4 other, 2, 3, 4 other people, and you want to fellowship it up, right? Yeah, you can even tweak the difficulty of the world to your liking. You can go the full hardcore experience, right? There's areas like in the North Downs. I think it's Non-Wanreth, right? You go to the north because like the Lonelands is kind of like the solo option from like 20 to 35-ish. The North Downs are kind of this like that, but for fellowships, right? You go to like Non-Wanreth and you go in and you see a bunch of orcs, and then the orcs become signature. You start seeing elites, and you get to the deepest parts of Non-Wanreth, and you get like nothing but elite orcs. Now scale those up to whatever the veteran gives you. Like, it's so interesting how many systems this game has and how modular it can be. And even then, the buff system can make things modular as well, right? Doing skirmishes, there's a specific lieutenant of the enemy who has a consistent invulnerability shield. You cannot damage him. What you do have to do is he'll summon a crow, he'll summon a Creebane, and you have to kill the Creebane. And then that'll take out of his health pool until he can no longer maintain the shield, and then you just, gank him outright. The game is very modular in how it approaches buffs and stuff like that. And I very much love it. I'm a huge fan of it. It kind of reminds me of L5R's keyword system, right? Where someone like Bayoshi Datushi has like keyword samurai and ninja, and you interact with samurai and ninja cards, and you're also a courtier, so you have access to political strategies from your fate deck because you have keyword political. And so that's why I think when I reflect on L5R, Legend of the Five Rings, I reflect on Lord of the Rings Online, it's from an era that art could be art, and I feel this was made by some very passionate people, and I feel that the bones are very structurally sound. So I'm never finishing this video, am I? I'm already at an hour and 11 minutes, 20 minutes in. But
it just feels old. Horrible sign-up process,
feels old,
clunky movement, stationary combat, terrible graphics on ultra settings, endless fetch quests where you have to run for 10 minutes to the next objective. Some quests require VIP membership from the start. It just doesn't have much going for it. The best way to experience the world of J.R.R. Tolkien outside of the books. The graphics are a bit dated but serviceable, and it runs well on older hardware. The cash shop is less predatory than most free-to-play titles, and the game can be enjoyed without spending money, although earning premium currency in the game is limited. All in all, I highly recommend giving it a try, even if you just take a pleasant stroll around the Shire. Want to assist the Fellowship of the Ring on their journey to Mount Doom? Want to explore Gollum's cave in the depths of Goblin Town?
It exists.
Want to help find Bill the Pony after Sam released him outside the mines of Moria? Then I highly recommend for the story aspect.
It very much is super. So it also draws. So it's very narrative driven. It also draws a lot from the books, not necessarily the movies, like the Peter Jackson trilogy. It draws a lot from the books, though. I will say, as someone who's played Lord of the Rings Online for years, seeing how Radagast the Brown was portrayed in the Hobbit films was such a jarring experience to see Radagast the Brown. I've only really seen him from book 2, right? The Garth Argoin arc, right? Him versus Ivar the Bloodhand. Even then, like, we have, like, you want to talk about things released early game, like Shadows of Angmar status. We have, like, parallels. We have foils to the Istari, where Radagast, and I was like, wow, this is a thing. Talking about this on stream, where Radagast says that the Gaunt Lords are supposed to be like parallel to the Istari, and how Ivor the Bloodhand, the one that's kind of been the big one up until that point, is supposed to be Radagast's foil. To which prompts the question from me, and I haven't been looking at this from a spoiler, like wanting spoilers aspect, but I have been looking at it and like, so which one's going to be Gandalf? Which one's going to be the parallel to? I almost said Kuramo. I love how I don't say Saruman. I default to his actual like Maiar name. It's weird to me. But like, there's so much here. Like, does it necessarily fall 100% in line? No. I mean, I think it's a little more in line than something like Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, right? The Final Fantasyism, or one, the turn-based one, right? Where you just, fight with Gandalf on the bridge of Khazad-dûm against the Balrog, right? It's not quite that campy, but I mean, like, you do get to see Durin's Bane, and you get to see the Balrog strike down Durin the Sixth, right? That was something we did recently on stream. You do get to see the aftermath of Gandalf leaving his ruin on Weathertop. Some of the movies get to show Frodo being stabbed on Weathertop, right? There's just so much, and I feel if you have your an imagination, I feel if you actually do enjoy Tolkien's works, I feel there is something for you to enjoy here, even if it's one of those things where it's like you'll play as a group, right? I mean, I play this however many times I have on stream very recently, and I have people coming out fairly consistently. Some of them have wanted to pick up the game as well, and it's like, I don't know, I enjoy it. I'm very much a fan of it, but it also is going to be a time sink for a lot of people. I can spend 12 hours on stream playing this easily. Not everyone can, and that's fair.
Just discovered if you zoom in, you can play in first person, journeying through a densely packed, foliage-filled forest. I am really surprised at how nice the general ambience is in Lord of the Rings Online. Find the bandit camp, run in screaming, and get killed very quickly. Now, as a captain, I can summon a banner-bearer pet. I assumed they would fight by my side, but no, they just stand there cheering me on. You're about
he doesn't have the pet menu up, is why.
As useless as Faramir. Your health, by the way, is called morale. This is why you don't die. You just run out of morale and give up. So I kill some bandits and, I seem to be completing a deed. What are deeds? Well, deeds are small local tasks like killing bandits or spiders or collecting stuff, and completing a deed rewards you with Lord of the Rings Online points, the premium currency. So there's actually a system where playing the game gives you the currency required for the in-game shop so you can spend it and unlock stuff like the riding skill or quest lines or major expansions. I like this.
He got to it eventually. I had talked about it throughout the video. It's just structured in a way he brings it up a little bit later.
It's not fast, but it means it is possible to grind the game to pay for the rest of the game. We find a letter at the bandit camp and take it back to Underhill, and he sends us northwest. The letter is from the wolf breeder Ellie. It seems that she has been supplying the bandits with attack wolves, so we should go and have a word. If I had to describe the experience of playing Lord of the Rings Online in one word, I'd choose pleasant, both in style and mechanical design. On the style front, it's not stunning, it's not genre-definingly incredible, but it's not offensively bad. It looks good, it sounds great, it plays acceptably, and the moment-to-moment feeling of being within this rather well-crafted world is very enjoyable because of all of those styles combining really well. It is a pleasant world to exist in and explore around, and then the mechanics of the gameplay and the small touches all add up. Movement is floaty, but you get used to it. Combat is janky, but serviceable. The inventory is nicely laid out, and the character profile contains enough details, and the quest journal has enough info available at a glance. There are very few design choices in Lord of the Rings Online bad enough to make a player want to stop playing. We find Ellie. She says, yeah, I did send the wolves to the bandits, but then they bred them into wargs, and I feel pretty bad about that. So please go and kill the broodmother to stop that happening again. Here's the secret hideout location. Okay, Ellie, we all make mistakes. I mean, who hasn't sold wolves to a bandit before? You live and learn. This means a lot more walking, but walking leads to this moment, which I think exemplifies the pleasant description. Just look at this. I'm standing on an overlook above a lumberyard, and you've got an NPC warden patrolling the road, walking over the bridge, and some of the NPC workers are all chopping logs with the forest sprawling into the distance. Now, in many games, you just have a lumberyard, but here, you've got people actually existing on the yard and doing the actions expected, chopping logs.
So I was thinking about this last night, actually, when I was running the North Down missions, and I'm like, some of these the models look great. And I think part of that is because, so Final Fantasy XIV was kind of designed with, PS3 in mind, right? It's why, Limsa, Laminsa, Ul'dah, and Gridania are split into sections, right? And as the consoles progress, they're able to get a little bit more, right? This is, yes, I think an example of doing more with less, but, I think it's because it was designed with PC in mind, first and foremost, and just, the fact that it can just do this, right? It doesn't necessarily go hyper realistic. Isn't necessarily the most good looking game. It's quaint, it's pleasant, it has its charm. This is an example of a game where you don't need that hyper realism. It's a game where, the models are good enough, even if the orc and their armor looks a little blocky and chunky in certain aspects, right? They did a lot with what they had access to. And it really shows even all these years later, when the biggest complaint is going to be latency, especially with Warden, because Warden is a class where you have to build up your stuff, right? You have to build up your skills, and then use your 1, 2, 3 to build up different variants. So you have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, right? You build up your skills. When the biggest enemy of Warden is latency, how many modern games can't do this? We talk about Majora's Mask. Why does Majora's Mask as a game feel alive? You have the carpenters moving around. You have the postman going about his daily business. Anji opens up the stockpot in when she does, right? You deal with time events, but it's all NPCs coded on specific, routes and stuff, right? Throughout the 3-day cycle. But they're doing things. They're not just standing around. Like you said earlier, you have the trainers actually training NPCs. You have workers in the lumberyard actually working. You have, the watchers and the guards standing watch and walking through, the lumberyard, making sure everything's fine, right? It's giving that illusion of the world being alive. Not that it's actually, everyone has, an advanced AI package, even if it's just sitting in place, doing an emote, maybe, saying a thing when you walk near them, the text floats above their head, right? It does a lot with what it has access to. And I think that the fact that it's stayed around as long as it can, we have a new expansion coming in, and as of recording this in the next couple weeks, right? We moved on from Umbor. I don't remember where we're going. But we're going south. We're in Rune, I think, at this point. And it's wild to consider back playing Shadows of Angmar, looking at, the overall map of Middle Earth. And it'd be cool to go to Isengard. It'd be cool to go to Moria. It'd be cool to go to Mordor, right? The fact that we have that now, we can go to Gundabad, right? This game has really kind of stood the test of time, and it's kind of wild to think about.
Small touch of having NPCs in the world living their life and working their jobs instead of just standing around waiting for the player to come and chat to them is such a powerful design choice. It makes the world feel real beyond my small experience of it. And I actually just stand here and watch for a while the lives of the workers, the music, the gentle rustling of the trees. This is a pleasant experience. Even running through the yard itself, there's side quests, people taking breaks, and I can see myself one day just taking a lazy Sunday to help everyone out here because it's an enjoyable place to be. Find the bandit wolf house. It is guarded, so I sneak around the back and fight my way through, and I quite like the fact that you can approach this from multiple angles, and eventually I lure the den mother over to me and I kill them. I let Ellie know it's dealt with, and we get a shiny new axe for our troubles. But we're not done. The den mother is out, but there are still wolves remaining, so we need some poison to deal with them. Leecha Cartwell tells us to go and find some ingredients, but this is the first moment, the very first quest that feels like filler. Up until right now, everything has been paced really well and the story moved along quite quickly.
That's because you were in the tutorial. So there's two tutorials. So there's the first where it tells you hey, this is the end of the tutorial quest, right? So going up before the Blackwold raid on Archit. And then the second part of the tutorial is kind of going through the quest just after. Once you start getting out into the open world, you will start getting random people just saying, hi, I need you to deal with my beehives. Hi, I would like you to go those vile Barghest and vile, Creebane in the Barrow Downs. You should go take their eyes, and make sure that they can't spy on people or make people feel uncomfortable anymore, right? You can see in the bottom left below chat, he now has his captain bar handy, his pet menu. That's how you get your captain to stop standing around and actually attack people. Your follower. That's how you get to do that. That's because I had to actually play Captain the past week or so. Because I don't have experience on Captain. I just had to figure that out intuitively. Words, brain. Yeah, it starts to get a little loose. I can get to even starting in Arid Loon, I can go from Thorin's Hall, go through the tomb, Scrolgrim Dower Hand, all that fun stuff, right? I can get to finishing the quest there, going into the Vale of Thrain, going through Nogrod, going to about Gondamon. I can do Vale of Thrain start. I can do Thorin's Hall start to Vale of Thrain and Gondamon in about one sitting. Once I get to about Gondamon and having to go to Thrasi's Lodge, Caladul, and start moving out of the area, it starts to feel a little more floaty. The quest chains start getting to me a little bit. I know exactly what he's talking about because this is about the same point where my attention starts to wander. Usually my attention starts to wander until I do about Caladul. Yeah, until I hit about Caladul, and then I start doing like Sultan Rath Tareg, and then I can actually leave and go to Bree. I know exactly the slump he's talking about because that's the same exact slump I hit. And I'm sure depending on your specific start as well, you could probably, in you playing Locho, dear commenter, dear viewer, probably know exactly what he's talking about. This is why having just a group or even be able to stream it is just kind of super beneficial. Just having something to do. Go and sit and watch the Hobbit movies. Go and sit and watch Lord of the Rings while you do this, right? Very much a filler session, if you will. I know exactly what he's talking about.
This is the moment it begins to feel like a padded MMO instead of a well-paced RPG. Now, I've been ignoring my backpack because I know that I'm about to do something stupid. In my inventory, there are 3 boxes. The 3 Peaks pack, the Minas Morgul pack, and the Mordor pack. And these are the 3 free expansions and all the stuff you would get if you were to buy them. So I open the Mordor one, and I get a load of cosmetics. And the cosmetic override system is really easy to use. You just choose what you're equipped with for stats and then what you want to use for visuals.
I didn't even know you could drag it to center. I thought you had to drag it to the corresponding slot. Man, I'm dumb.
The problem is the visual override items stay in your inventory, taking up space. But there's also a level 120 Aria of the Valor level boost. I'll use that soon. Arriving at the local town of Bree, and just look at this. The stable hands are actually tending the horses. There's a dude sat chilling on the steps. People are chatting. Kids are playing. This is what an MMO city needs to feel like. Alive beyond me.
I'm going to be honest. The wildest thing here is that Bree is not lagging for him. That's the wildest thing for me.
You know what? Let's boost to level 120. I mean, how confusing could it possibly be?
Yep.
Right, I'm now the saviour of the free peoples, hero of the land. I'm teleported to wherever this is. I'm Elrond's BFF, and Gandalf wants a word.
I think this was specifically when you boosted. Is this Rohan? I think this was East Rohan. I don't remember. But even then, I was looking on some of the Reddit for some of the level up stuff people were talking about, and it is very much a lot in your face. I mean, he's got like a crafting and catch-alls right here. I definitely see that. He has 2 of them, bro. I only have 1. Oh, that's rough. Yeah, like there's a lot of confusion that can end up happening here. I also love that he has this cloak has the 2 trees on it. I love that.
Being showered with accomplishments, I've been given a war horse, and I'm being told about mounted combat. Then I get a free level 120 weapon, and where am I?
Oh, yeah. As it turns out, I hear that East Rohan kind of almost killed the game. Everyone I've talked to, nobody has liked mounted combat. Universally, it seems like Rohan is just a big sticking point for the game. No, he's absolutely correct. It's why I don't like level boosting characters. The big thing, as well as somebody who likes raid content, I don't like level boosting characters because I don't know how to play by level 150 Runekeeper. I wouldn't know how to play a level 150 Mariner. Right. And so or a Beorning, right? So I kind of try to use them sparingly. Like my Hunter, I've been playing for years, right? And I can go back and I can do some of the older books and stuff like that. But when we talk about like level boosting and stuff, I do it mostly on a couple characters. That way I can just go around. Like I was going around in the troll shaws last night gathering mat ingredients like I was talking about earlier, like just doing crafting stuff. And it's easier just one-shot bears and giants and stuff. It just helps me expedite that crafting a little bit. I'm very, very cautious with using boosts because I very much love being able to, one, go through the game because I actually really enjoy the game, but two, if I don't know how my class functions, if I don't know how my rotation functions, I'm going to be garbage in raids. I need to know how my class works. But even look. So look at his skill bars, right? He just boosted, and yes, he's going to have to choose his trait tree specialization. He's going to have to do that. But like this is a fairly reasonable rotation that you can assign buttons to, right? This isn't overly complex. This isn't. I mean, like some classes definitely have button bloat, right? But this is very, very manageable in comparison to other things. Like WoW, trying to skip a Death Knight. I think I went with Blood DK. Trying to understand how the buttons all interacted with each other. Holy button bloat, Batman. It wasn't the follower one. I think that's Ice. I think it was the one where you can HP regen. Like you can steal a life steal. So I think it was Blood DK. I couldn't tell you heads or tails. I didn't know what my core rotation was. I had no idea what I was doing. But that's something that, I could probably address later and try to do it. I just like MMOs. I like them. I love being able to understand the mechanics and understanding why good MMOs function. But yeah, level skipping is definitely, I don't even think that it's necessarily vilified as much as it's like, it's just a lot in your face and you have no idea how things are like going into this. How is Josh Strife Hayes supposed to know how the legendary item system works? I had to have chat explain multiple times how the legendary item system worked. And yes, I can go to Lotro HQ. So if I go and look up something like, let's say, let's go and say Lotro Hunter build, right? And we go Lotro Hunter build, and we go Lotro HQ, and we go, okay, what are we looking at in terms of builds here? And we scroll down, it looks like we have, mostly people are using for Redline, if I'm being honest, because red is just pure DPS. And so it looks like you have to zoom in, but then these are the skills that you pick, and then this is, you're going into blue line because blue actually has a really bunch of cool stuff. These are the virtues that you're going to be using for an endgame build. And you go down to legendary item, and it's like, well, do you have Heraldry of Sparrows, single target attack damage, and single target criticals, precision? Well, God, we don't even have precision stance anymore. Point being, right? Like that was something that actually edited out fairly recently, as I understand it. I'm back when Hunter had stances. Let me tell you, endurance stance quick shot was dumb. But like, I mean, you can kind of what is this? And you go, if you can follow this, but like, you're missing out on the experience of actually understanding how the system works, and thus you're not necessarily able to understand how the game itself works. So I could skip my Guardian to 150 with my last remaining boost I have. I could. I'm actively choosing not to because I want to learn how his rotation works. I want to learn optimally playing Guardian to be able to, once I inevitably hit my 150, being able to run things like level synced Rift, right? Being able to run modern raids and being able to do so in a competent faction. But I also have to say that is very much a me thing and not an everyone thing, because not everyone wants to play the game optimally. And even then, I've skipped a couple characters and I'll use them to grind, deeds and stuff all day.
What has happened? What am I meant to be doing? Look, I appreciate you giving new players level boosts so they can catch up to their friends and do the higher content without grinding for weeks or months, and I do appreciate how this boost for some reason includes the riding skill, but please, if you are a brand new player, do not use the level boost until you have actually got to hear at least once legitimately, because it throws you into a very high level, very confusing part of the game. I have no idea.
He's like an East Rohan, it looks like. 100% agree. Everything I just said, and why I'm doing my Guardian progression series to have this. And I'll go throw on my Hunter to scout out certain things, don't get me wrong. Like scouting out Rift, scouting out certain areas that I haven't been to yet. Maybe like East Angmar, right? Stuff that I will scout things out as my Hunter, but it's why I'm going through the game vanilla.
Geographically, where I am, or what any of my multiple unlocked skills or traits now do, because
So as chat mentions as well, Cardinal Rule level boosts in general, hard agree.
I've been given an overwhelming amount of stuff to deal with all in one go, and I know this is my fault, so I take full responsibility.
Right.
Look, they even gave me a balloon.
Amazing.
Look, Elrond. Look at my balloon. Are you proud of me yet, Elrond? Have a chat with Gandalf, and Gandalf recommends I finish the Black Book of Mordor quest line before starting his quest, but I have no idea where to start that quest, so we'll skip it. I mean, how important can that really be? So I'm sent off to do something and talk to someone, and my god, the landscape around here is gorgeous. I don't know where I am or what I'm doing, but I do know that I'm having a good time doing it. Combat's a bit tougher though. I have a load of skills I don't understand, so I just run away. You know what? Let's just teleport back to Bree and become the most overpowered town protector ever. Let's check out the monster play mode I saw earlier. Oh, interesting. You get to choose a character. There are free and paid classes. Is this PvP? So we log in and... oh, it's not just PvP. It's a whole PvP map with quests for the monster players.
Wasn't there a second PvP map? Wasn't that what Osgiliath was supposed to be? I heard something about this fairly recently, but I don't remember enough about it. I guess Osgiliath was supposed to be a PvP mode, but I guess like no one really played it. So I think it's just the Etmors at this point. I don't remember if it's a hardcore minority of the player base or if there's an actual like dedicated following. I did monster play years and years ago. I would have to give it a modern go. I would have to very much give this a fresh shot because I don't remember any of it. I remember there's paid classes, there's free classes. There's even your own deeds you can do in monster play to get the extra Lotro points as well. Last I understood, but I don't know the full mechanical benefits, if I'm being honest, of doing monster play. I don't know. I know that the battles in the Etmors go well. That's a buff that if the free peoples are pushing back monster players, everyone gets a buff, right? You see it in your buff bar. Battles, you get I think it's like a 3% XP boost. When you get the hang of class archetypes, at least up to the level the boost gives you, then you can consider trying the boost on a character. Exactly. And even that's why I don't understand my Rune Keeper. It's why, man, I can just go generate a fresh Rune Keeper. Even if I delete that Rune Keeper later and just farm Lotro points. Wow, you mean I understand the base rotation? Weird. Maybe I'll go and do a Rune Keeper on this Angmar Mordor server I hear so much about. Just go to a completely different server and then learn there and then apply the knowledge that I gain over there. It's playing the long game and it's a lot of time investment, don't get me wrong. But like, no, like what you say makes complete sense, and what he says makes complete sense. I love that the skip exists and it's tempting to use it, but it's why I haven't used it on my Guardian.
Skills and class builds and a monster base, and this is pretty cool. Okay, so this is one dedicated map with open PvP against the free peoples and the monsters. The only problem, there's no one around. You get given the briefest of tutorials given entirely through text boxes about how to play a monster and then told to go and poison the river. So I walk all the way across the map and don't see a single other player. I'm also level 140. This area looks a lot worse than the other starting zones. I dump the poison into the river, there's no graphical change from this, and then head back to monster base and win? Okay, new players don't play as a monster in the PvP mode. This is likely a novelty for veteran players, not a fun experience for new ones.
I very much need to speak to, I'm hoping, because there's been a couple people, it's been really fun talking about Lord of the Rings Online and some reactions. The sleeper agents activate. It's been very fun to watch. It's also been fun to watch people just come out streaming over on the Funny Purple app when I've streamed for 12-ish hours on end, right? And just seeing people who've played for years. It's very cool to just see the community. I would very much love to speak to far more experienced players than I am on what they feel the actual Etmors PvP does for the game. It'd be very cool to hear their opinions on it.
Before I finish this video, I want to try one more thing. I want to see if the other starting zones are different experiences, so I make a new character. I'm going to go with a crazy fantasy combination of race and class, the likes of which has never been seen before. I'm going to make an elven archer.
Whoa. We can't push the bar too far now. That's pretty out there. That's outlandish.
And the opening experience is, again, really good. Teaming up with Elrond to repel a dwarven attack on the elvish settlement. Same process of interaction, equip, combat, defend, retreat. It's, again, a very well-made tutorial. Lord of the Rings Online feels, at least when playing solo, quite a lot like Dragon Age Origins. It even looks similar. It's a slower-paced RPG with a lot of customization and glorious environments environments to explore with a cracking soundtrack. The combat system is showing its age enough, but it's still enjoyable. The plots are well structured and written, and the updating scenery and map models based on quest outcome is a lovely touch. I even like how the elf tutorial ends with the elvish leader destroying the temple instead of letting the dwarves steal the artifact, and then many years later we are sent to the frozen mountains to accompany Elrond's sons on a quest. And
see, I do the opposite of this, especially because I gen dwarves so much. I do the complete opposite end of this, so this is wild to see.
Again, it looks gorgeous, but the epic scale of the landscape is enhanced by the minutiae, like how you can see your character's breath. Now, I can only judge what I played. I didn't get the chance to do dungeons or raids, and I didn't meet the Fellowship. But the opening section, the mechanics, the general design, the pacing, the overall ambience of Lord of the Rings Online is really, really good. I had an enjoyable, pleasant, slower-paced time. If you're after a more chilled MMO with a lot of free content and some really nice quality-of-life touches, you could do a lot worse than Lord of the Rings Online. Now, it's not perfect. The map resolution needs changing, the combat needs less jank, and the lag needs fixing, along with streamlining some of the riding skills, and maybe not giving new players a potentially game-breaking high-level boost directly from the inventory.
I think that feeds into his point, though. He's liked the modularity. He's liked that freedom of choice, right? You only get that if you've bought certain things, right? Like, you have to make, do a pre-order bundle, or you have to do a supporter bundle, or actively go out of your way to buy it. So I'm kind of mixed on that point specifically. And he also acknowledged that him doing a level boost, right? Because I've level boosted characters, and I lost interest in my hunter for a period of time. But going through as my guardian, right, going through legit, right, has really re-sparked that interest in me again. And it's like, oh, I need this. I need Eglain rep, right? Look for the Lone Lands. Have I considered going to Garth Argoed and just ganking a bunch of Dark Waters deep in there, right? Or Kreoth, right? Like, and then you build that understanding. So even if you level boost, I feel Lord of the Rings Online, and the community can feel free to correct me on this, I feel one of the things that it does very strongly is that you're able to generate new tunes, new characters, and you're able to run up fairly consistently, right? That's why when we have time lock progression servers like Angmar and Mordor, right? Especially because they have the funny things on it, you're expected to make a new character on it, much like you would for RuneScape Leagues, right? Much like you would for, much like you had to for WoW Classic, right? So, or if you have to go over, because I, as a US Final Fantasy 14 player, cannot go over to European Final Fantasy servers, right? I can't. I can go to Oceania. I can go on any other North American North American data center, right? So I can go Crystal to another one, but I can't go to like any of the European data centers. So thus, if I wanted to, for some reason, play with less ping on raids and over in Europe, I'd have to make a new character, right? I don't know. Like, I'm mixed on that. I will say as well, technically, if you wanted to do a comprehensive review, which this isn't a super comprehensive review, like by nature, this is very much this is my experience. Yes, he probably should have done dungeons. Yes, he probably should have done something like Rift because of Shadows of Angmar raid. But like, I also would counter argument that most people don't play the games for that. Like, I feel that raiding is very much a niche part of any community. How many people in Destiny 2 play raids? How many people in Final Fantasy 14 actually play raids? How many people in World of Warcraft do big raids, right? Or is it a more niche part of the community and not your average player?
Definitely improvements. But all in all, it's a really decent MMO. I can see why it never quite reached the top tier, but I can also see why it's still around. So, to end the review, I will award Lord of the Rings Online, seriously, just fly the eagles to Mordor. There is no reason that wouldn't have worked.
But there is.
Out of 10.
That's the one.
Cheers for watching. Another massive thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and Twitch for keeping the channel alive. You can support from only £1 a month. Check the video description for links to the Patreon, Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. And as always, have a great day.
I think it was a good video. I absolutely loved it. So the problem with reacting to stuff like these is that, oh my God, like we're at an hour and 40 minutes. These are going to be long, right? And that's the nature of React content. These should simply be longer, right? That's how that works. This is going to be a chonker for people to get through, and I do apologize about that. There was a lot to say, especially because I do have experience in this specific MMO, and I will continue to be playing said specific MMO because I enjoy it. And I think that there's something like Legend of the Five Rings never breached the top 3, right? It never hit Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, or Magic the Gathering tiers, but it had a special enough community, and I enjoyed it enough, both the lore and the gameplay, to really dive into it. I have my Genpuku box I got from Amazon sitting up right here, waiting for a stream. Probably when I get back from vacation. I was planning on doing that. But it's like, have I looked into DDO? At one point I would like to. I would like to go into Dungeons & Dragons Online at some point. I've never played it, just because it's just never been in my wheelhouse. I've never known people who've played it. I've had to play Lord of the Rings Online for the most part solo most of my life. So there's some things there. When we talk about his criticisms with the boost, yeah, I do think that there are criticisms, and I myself am evident of, like, you lose interest if you boost a character. But I think that it's okay to have those as alternative characters, as alts, and going through on your main account, because at that point, then you have a reference point. You have, oh, okay, now I know exactly where I'm at. I'm in Rohan. Okay, I should probably go back, and I can go through and I can mat grind up, all my classes, all my crafters that you want to do. Because you're going to need to do Shadows of Angmar levels of crafting and gathering, journeyman, artisan, etc. And I like that it's an option. I do like that it is absolutely an option. And even me, especially who has pre-ordered bundles and stuff, like I have the Umbar earring right now. It's stupid, dude. It scales up with you, and it's like plus 25% experience and legendary item experience. It's dumb, right? But that's because I'm like, sure, I'll pre-order this game. I'll pre-order the expansion. I'll buy this game. I'll play the game. Because I enjoy it, and that is my bias. I think a lot of what he brings up is absolutely correct, especially in the part of, like, you start losing interest. For me, if I start as elf or dwarf, it's definitely Gondamon. Every single time it's Gondamon and Thrasi's Lodge. I will go through an entire hours-long binge, and once I hit Gondamon, I just start losing interest every single time, because then the quests feel a little more free-floating, right? But he said he brings up a lot of good points in this. I think that he brought a very level head to this. I think that he did a good job with the overall review. I think that there was a little bit of bias, but I think that ultimately I thought this was a really good video. So, yeah. Once again, when we let me talk about Lord of the Rings Online, or Lord of the Rings in general, that's how you get an hour and 45-minute video. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you found some sort of enjoyment in this, because I sure did. Thank you, Josh Strife Hayes, for doing an amazing video on this. We definitely differ in certain points, but honestly, I thought it was a really good video, really good presentation, and I think it also is a good way for people to kind of understand Lord of the Rings Online without really, diving in super deep. And I personally am looking forward to doing a lot more raids and a lot more high-tier content in the game when I do eventually get around to it. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and I will see you in the next one.